Everybody, good morning. It's real early in the morning. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning. Not real early, but I've been up for like over an hour and a half. And I was doing some planning for my trip, where I'm going to go, where I'm going to travel. I've been doing that the entire weekend. And this is going to be a long discussion, but I've decided not to come to the USA. And I was wondering, try to put yourself in my shoes. And would you be traveling to the USA right now? Specifically to the World Cup? Um, with everything that's going on in the United States, it's kind of sickening here, that I actually have to be scared. Maybe I shouldn't be, of going to the United States. And people that know me, I've traveled to, you know, over 70 nations. I've never felt scared anywhere. Everywhere I've gone, I've never had this bullshit with, masked agents or policemen and going around arresting me for not having my paperwork or something like that. What the fuck is that? What is this, North Korea? I'm serious, people. This is the reality. I know in America, your perspective might be different. But for me, as a world traveler, I'm afraid, what if I don't have my passport at that moment? And what if I find an asshole that says, hey, how come you don't have an accent and you got a Greek passport? And what the fuck is this? And I don't want to deal with that. Even in a third world nation, I wouldn't have to deal with that. We're living a modern police state where, thank God I'm not brown, but we were supposed to go with a bunch of friends, my friends, and they were the ones that convinced me. I was the ones that are telling them, come on, this is ridiculous. It's the media. Shit goes viral. Let's not take everything, that bad. I got family there. We know what we're going to be doing. Don't worry about it. But you know what? They're right. One's an Argentinian citizen. He's not really sure. I have another friend. He's Greek, but he's really dark. He's from Crete. He looks like an Arab. He's the one that convinced me. He goes, look at me, Adam. He goes, even the Greeks don't think I'm Greek. He goes, well, they call me Adava. And it's true. I can understand that. Having said that, that's what I'm saying. What is it like for your people in America? Isn't this disgusting? I'm just wondering, do you really feel okay about all these people going out there and, controlling you with masks and, you have no rights? These guys also have asylum. Think about this. They can do as they please. There's no justice to, hold them accountable for what they're doing. It's really sad, and people are changing the reality, of what's really going on. I'm telling you, people in the U.S., my friends, it doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with left wing, right wing, progressive, liberal, right, or MAGA. It's just sad. I'm hoping that everybody can agree on that. I grew up in America. This would have been unheard of. Nobody would have accepted that, and then what happened yesterday and stuff like that with all the violence going on. Wow, that's really weird. We're accepting things now that I couldn't believe it being accepted. I'm trying to, I'm looking at it from a European perspective at this point. And I do look at everything, I read right wing news, I read left wing. I try to really be informed, everything from, Newsmax, all the way down to, left wing, Tageszeitung here in Germany and stuff like that. So I try to get both perspectives. And what I see is there's nobody in the middle point in America. There's like a soap opera. People like, they're either with Trump or without Trump, not realizing, the results of their actions. I've seen people go from pro-Trump to, literally, it's like a sect. I can't explain it anymore. There's no more logical talking to people anymore. I'm being really critical of the MAGA group here, where they're living really in an alternative reality. None of them are willing to criticize their own party. None. It's like a sect. I can't understand it. It's like they excuse it. They're afraid. They're always afraid. There's some fringe group that they've always been afraid of, and yet they're all into this macho thing, this new, manoverse, and I see this, and it's really disgusting. Um, people my age, baby boomers, that lived a good generation, they're living in their nice houses and stuff like that, and they're complaining. They're bitching about the foreigners that are coming in, taking their jobs. Like you're really gonna go pick fucking asparagus somewhere in a Texas field. Fucking morons, It's getting on my nerves. This is gonna get emotional. And always scared of terrorism. You know what? You're always scared of terrorism, but look at, let me just put it this way. Imagine the Ku Klux Klan and the Aryan Brotherhood and all these extreme white groups, right? Imagine the exact same thing in black and armed, like the black. You'd get rid of them in a fucking heartbeat, wouldn't you? But because they're white and stuff like that, you guys can't even see it. The hypocrisy of America has turned extreme internally, externally as well. I think you can understand why I don't want to go there. Everybody's, carrying a gun. And let's get into what happened a little bit over the weekend. I tried to look at this, and, I saw some news here. In the city of Minneapolis, the police, they've been made over 6,600 arrests and 6,000, fines and all this without having a single murder. These guys come in there within 3 weeks, they kill 3 people, and, nobody cares. The conservative right is actually justifying this, excusing it. They're telling you, don't believe your eyes. Yeah, don't believe your eyes, believe us. And people are doing it because you're fucking sick, man, You're sick. It's ridiculous that you can't see that. That you've swung to a point. I'm trying to talk to my MAGA friends here. And, I'm not trying to condemn you or, actually I am. But it's like, you're looking at a soap opera and not realizing that this is reality of the world. We've turned into a pariah state. Nobody likes us. I'm glad that Donald Trump came to power and finally we realized that Canada, that's right, people, you fucking morons. Can't you see that Canada is the problem with all your progressive politics and shit like that with the national health care system? We don't want that shit around. Think about this. Think about this, people. This is turned into because of Donald Trump has told you that, and you're justifying it. You're fucking morons. I'm serious. You're my friend. I'm telling you, there's a friend. Some friends have to turn around and tell you you're a fucking moron. It's like, you ever see those things on those talent contests where somebody goes out and you really make fun of them, It's part of the joke, right? And you're thinking, man, if that guy had friends, because he has no friends, because if he had a friend, he would have told him, man, you're fucking, don't go out there and say this shit, don't sing, Well, that's me, hopefully, in this point. And you can call me a moron too, it's all right. But try to prove me wrong, because here, the hypocrisy is just amazing. Amazing. You see a guy, taking up film. Let's say that he was a reporter. You're dumping him to the ground. You're putting a knee on him. 5 of them. One finds the gun. Look at it. Believe what you see. Don't believe what they tell you. And then they pull out the gun. They run away. A guy pulls out a gun, shoots him 6 times. Welcome to America. And you're justifying this. This is fucking ridiculous. And this has happened before. And you're telling me, well, Adam, you should just go on vacation and forget about the whole thing. No. And you know what? Most Europeans aren't. This is a little bit of a turning point. At least for me, it is. I am not going to go. I've decided that. Because I'm talking to people and I don't understand you, MAGA people. I really believe you're in a cult. It's like a Hollywood thing. I talked to somebody who says, I love the guy. And I said, well, can you explain to me really logically? Today, right now, I'm emotional. But I asked him, well, what is it that you like? He goes, he's just so against the system. And I'm like, can you give me an example? And he couldn't. He said, well, I can't give you an example right now. I said, I'll give you a minute. Well, what has he done that's anti-system? Greenland, supporting the weapons industry, hiding his billionaire friends in the Epstein files. What exactly has he done against the system? The national, against the healthcare system? Yeah, he's done that. I mean, if you're for that, then I could support, but you can't turn around. And they're supporting him not for what he's done for them. It's what he's done against people they don't like. You understand? It's that marginalization. It's a soap opera. I don't like that guy. Or you love the evil character. Not realizing this character has reality in life. And I'm not saying that Trump is the only cause. I'm saying that American politics, you know, people say, "Oh, you see what he did." Americans been doing that for a while. Panama. We've. I'm 63 years old. I've seen this bullshit before. You know, we've Panama. We got rid of, in Libya. We've overthrown governments in Chile. When Pinochet took over, people think, Trump is the only one that's done this. So, I understand that. But it's stupid to believe that this guy's against the system. The instability is now cool because it's like Hollywood, man. It's fun. I love that guy. You see what he said, even if it's insulting. It's insulting, isn't it? I mean, the guy goes out there and he insults people, and we're like, yeah, you see that? It's fucking funny, Yeah, you MAGA people. Um, and there's no argument, there's no logic behind it anymore. And one last point is, the hypocrisy, especially now with this guy. All you gun toting, it's my right to have a gun and I can carry it everywhere I want, So this guy carries a gun. And now the argument is, well, how could you dare carry a gun into this? The guys with 6th of January, they're parading, the Proud Boys. Imagine these guys, the Proud Boys and all these ethnic groups with their guns. This is my right. I'll take this shit from with my dead hands. You're going to take my gun away from me. And all of a sudden, this is the guy. But now, see, he's a liberal. It seems to be at least that way. So it's okay if we're doing this to the progressives. Right? It's that police state. You had Charlie Kirk saying the Second Amendment is about protecting your right. Don't let them take away that right from you. And this is not about self-defense. This is about your right to overthrow a government. Right? And here you are. You're changing the rules, man. You guys are fucking idiots. I'm serious. You can't even see that you're changing the rules. And those of you that maybe do understand that, well, maybe there's hope for you. But the rest of you, if you don't see that and you're justifying this, there's something really serious wrong with you, man. And I'm not saying that everything has to stay stable. And I'm not saying this guy's the devil. I'm just saying that, the people that support him, every dictatorship has had a base. I've seen this in Greece in the 80s, the 60s. The enemy was the communists, and then it became something else, right? And in the 80s, believe it or not, in the 80s, my Greek friends, it was America. And you had this cult of Andrea Papandreou. And even if you supported the guy, if you criticized him or even showed them that it was absolutely wrong, his people would attack you. What are you, some kind of right-wing fascist for saying shit like that? How could you dare? And you're like, well, this is the truth, Back then, they used to tell the Greeks that he signed an agreement, right, that the American bases would leave Greece. He campaigned on Exo-Americani, American bases out of Greece, right? He signs an agreement that clearly stated that the United States would continue having them. And he lied, and his people still supported that lie. They still do today. There are some people that say, well, they changed that. And I was like, no, there's not been a different one. It's the same one, They're just continuing. The fact they've expanded them, They don't like the truth. They don't like the truth. That was the 80s socialists. You understand? Well, think about this. A socialist government. Now we're seeing it in the U.S. What it is, it's cheap fucking populism, people. And you get stuck in it. As somebody who travels, you're stuck in it. You're stuck in your big fucking fancy houses, living the upper middle class American life, most of you, and you're blaming somebody else. Who the right wing that doesn't expect anything from the government, and that's communism. We don't want that. People are so fucked up in America. I'm serious. I'm seeing what's happening right now. I can't go. I'm not saying my people individually. That MAGA person, on an individual level, he might be the best person in the world. I'm being honest. Like, especially 2 or 3 that I know of, he would do anything. He would take the shirt off his back to support you and stuff like that. But to have that radicalization just proves to me that these people are in a fucking sect. They're in a cult. They don't want to hear the truth. And that truth is, it's a really sad state in America. It's a pariah state. Nobody likes you anymore. People do not want to go, It's not that, vindictiveness is the new thing now. Right? It's just about vindictiveness. Think about this. I mean, I see this, by the way, I read. And you know what's scarier? Even scarier than, a government spokesman and all the bullshit that's coming out of their mouths, complete lies. That's not really the problem. The problem is that you can't see it. You don't want to see it. You don't want to open your eyes. You take that political twist and you take it inside and you're spreading it out because you think you have something to argue about against the foreigners and all this thing that's going on right now. And, it's sickening. It's sickening that you're affected that way to a point where you don't want to realize anything anymore. The reality doesn't count anymore. Let me give you an example. I had somebody, a close friend, say, well, you didn't have the liberals screaming when not Trump, I'm sorry, when Obama, actually, when Obama got rid of over 2 million, he got rid of more, illegal immigrants than Trump has in his tenure in the last 6 years, basically combined, right? 5.5 years that, Obama got rid of more, and nobody was crying then, those liberals. Well, you're fucking stupid if you're actually using this argument, because that just goes to show that Obama did a better job than this guy without creating a $60 billion ICE agents that shoot people on the street. Don't you realize that that's stupid, your argument? Please, people, can't you see that? You're basically saying that Obama did a better job. Your whole argument of, what are you saying? You want illegal immigrants shooting our kids? No, nobody wants that. What are you, a fucking moron? Who the fuck wants that? We just want law. You want law. Law is the justification of democracy. And if you don't have equality under the law, you don't have a democracy. Democracy is not about your vote. It's equality of justice. Knowing that if the guy's a king or if he's a beggar, that they both have the same penalty for the crime. And you're just willing to forget everything and justify it, which is even worse. It's not forgetting, it's forgetting. But you're justifying it because you're fucking sick. You don't even realize it. Like I gave that example. So you're basically saying that Obama got rid of more foreign immigrants. Well, that's what you wanted, yeah. So that guy did a better job than what this guy's doing. Well, I didn't think about it that way. Well, it wasn't murder. Okay, so he's getting 5-year-old kids and he's arresting, people from, Home Depot. That's the problem. My healthcare system is now saved. My college debt is now gotten rid of. What can I say, people? Just a little bit. I think I said enough. It's kind of disgusting. But to finish it, if you were in my shoes or if you were a foreigner, would you be visiting America at this point? Think about it yourself, everybody. That's it. Bye.